Nobody does it better than Megyn Kelly. You can get her show, The Megyn Kelly Show, on YouTube, Sirius XM in the United States, or, of course, podcast, but most importantly, here each and every week. And she doesn't miss, again, with her old mate, Prince Harry.
If he gets invited, I have some friends over there in the UK on TV. I'm gonna finagle an invitation to that coronation. And they're going to go through and there is whoever, and there is this one, and then they're going to get to those two. And I will be the one going, boo, boo. No, it cannot happen without a healthy amount of ridicule and scorn. And if King Charles allows this, he deserves what he gets.
By the way, what are you hearing about Ms. Markle, about where she's been for the past little while? Because obviously we know that every time Meghan talks, with the exception of Spotify, Harry's there to sort of sit and pretend that everything's okay, you know, the mocking and the bowing and all the rest of it during Netflix. He's gone out, done the book thing for the past couple of weeks. She's nowhere. So when do we get to see her again, do you think?
Oh, I'm sure she'll orchestrate another opportunity very soon. You know, but we just had another mass shooting in America. Possibly she'll pop up there as she did after Uvalde, trying to make something tragic all about her. This is why we don't like her. It has nothing to do with the fact that her mother is black. It's her behavior. I think she's been sitting it out to let him do his PR tour as she sits at home Googling herself and watching her approval rating go through the toilet. They've lost something like 40 points in their likability here in America. They lost the UK a while ago, and now they've lost America. Both of them were in positive territory, thereabouts, and now they're both under zero in terms of their approval rating. Their PR tour, his book tour, their Netflix special have been a disaster public relations-wise. They should fire that new and very expensive team they recently hired.
Now, Megyn, I have for you a great giant rhetorical sundae with all of the whipped cream, all of the cherry on top, the chocolate sauce and all the rest of it to get to. But to get there, we have to eat our vegetables. We will talk about Alec Baldwin's wife in a moment. But we must talk about Alec Baldwin first. Yeah. So we know that his actions were what was responsible for the death of the cameraman on the movie Rust. Whether or not he's going to end up a jury finding him responsible for that, I don't know, but you're the lawyer. What's your sense about how weak or slam dunk that case is?
I don't see this as a strong case. I've seen it all along as more of a civil case, which was brought against him and settled with the widower of the cinematographer he shot, than I do a criminal case. Look, that's not to say it doesn't fall necessarily within the purview of the statute that he's been charged under, involuntary manslaughter in New Mexico. I mean, he's in a whole world of legal trouble. I just don't like the chances of it. I think the jury, once they are presented with a bunch of expert testimony about how he was handed the cold gun, he was told it was a cold gun, and the armorer herself, the one responsible for the gun and the ammo on set, was apparently not able to discern the difference between the dummy rounds and a live round. Who the hell is going to think Alec Baldwin would have been able to detect what she failed to detect? So I think in the end, the odds are with him, though, you know, anything could happen because I didn't think he was going to be charged either.
Okay, we've done Alec. Now let's get to the wife, because I know this is your... Okay, this lady has purported to be Spanish for some period of time, but she ain't Spanish, baby.
Oh my God, it's the best story. Truly, you just pray to the news gods to bring you back your favorite story, and they do. So Hilaria Baldwin, who Alec publicly stated is from Spain, and when he imitates her, he talks like, oh, you know, my wife, she's on the phone, she talks, that's Italian, but whatever, he does a Spanish accent. I only have a few tricks in my bag here, Paul. In any event, she is from Boston, Massachusetts. She grew up in a very well-off family. She went to this Tony prep school, this private school, in Weston, Massachusetts, which you could search the world over for a nicer suburb. You would never find one. And her name is Hillary Lynn Hayward Thomas. Hillary. It is not Hilaria, and it's not Hilaria, as they now call her, but she is faking being a Spaniard because she did like a study abroad there. It's amazing. So she gets outed on this fraud a couple of years ago. She gets outed. And whatever, just says, I have a connection with it. My parents moved there once when I was already an adult. And she does it again when confronted on the sidewalk with the paparazzi in the wake of Alec's possible indictment. She slips into her native Spanish tongue.
From Massachusetts.
So please, leave my family in peace and let this all play out, okay? So let my kids come home and you stay away from them. Because they ask me, Mommy, what are these people doing? And it's a very hard thing as a mom to try to explain. So please, go home, because I'm not going to say anything, and Alec is not going to say anything.
And the greatness about this is what it shows you is just how desperate white women in America are to be something more exotic, something just a little bit more exciting, right? It's not enough to be Hillary from Boston. You have to be Hilaria, possibly from Spain. And by the way, so she goes out there. Here's another thing, Paul. I don't like paparazzi following a mom with her kids to school. That's a no-no. That's a hard pass. However, this woman's pleas to the paparazzi in her fake Spanish accent, like, why you follow me, you follow, fall a little bit on deaf ears because she cannot stop making public figures out of her children. She's exactly the same as Kim Kardashian. Like, she and Alec can't stop posting photos of them. Even the night of his arrest, without having the announcement that they were going to charge him. What does Alec Baldwin do? His very first thing is to post a picture of his son on social media, this weird photo of the son behind the mother's back, saying something like, oh, the old give her a back rub first trick. Like, ew. What are you saying about your son and your wife in the wake of being charged with this terrible, in any event? These two are weird and never miss an opportunity to exploit their children. So there's a little bit of, could you spare me? Instead of shoving your child in my camera's lens all day, maybe you should just nurture them and stop worrying about the paparazzi, and then they wouldn't be on your door 24/7.
Now, I've got to say that after listening to your show this week, I am with you. I understand all the ups and all the downs about Biden and his documents, but there's one little thing people need to understand, that no matter how many documents they find, they can't go after a sitting president, or more importantly, they choose not to.
Yeah, no, it's not happening because the DOJ has a policy. It's not a law, but it's a policy that says we don't indict sitting presidents. So they're not going to indict Joe Biden. We seem to just be ignoring this fact in our media coverage of this scandal. Unless he loses or decides not to run again, worst case scenario for him, they're not going to charge him. So I guess this is all just an exercise in making the fig leaf of, hey, we go after both sides, look more and more real. But I don't think I know he's not going to be indicted, and Trump's probably not going to be indicted now either.
Also, this story has got a little more meat on it because the former Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence, is the latest to have a documents problem.
In a pair of letters to the National Archives, lawyers for former Vice President Mike Pence said they searched his home in Indiana last week out of an abundance of caution. There, they discovered a small number of documents bearing classified markings that were inadvertently boxed and transported to Pence's home at the end of the last administration.
Okay, now people on CNN are suggesting that there should be a document amnesty because, they all do it. But they thought that they could just make it all about Trump. Now it's Trump's vice president as well as the current president. Oh, yeah, and then Hunter Biden.